we're just gonna try a bunch of new tools and have a good time. All right, guys, so got a little bit of time today. Well, it's a weekend and I got my day off today, so I'm gonna take the truck for a drive. So I did a little work on a car. I don't have a whole lot of parts, so I'm still waiting on some parts. I ordered some stuff. I'm waiting to order some stuff, and yeah, so I can do some things, but not all the things that I want to do right now. So I'm gonna take the truck for a drive. Last time I drove it was when I tried to go out on the ice with Hunter, and the transmission was acting really weird and it started leaking. So what I want to do is just go drive it, because I haven't driven it since I drove it home that last time, and it acted fine on the way home. So I was having a lot of problems with it on the way there, but then on the way home it was perfectly fine, no issues. So I just want to drive it and kind of putz and just see what's going on and see if I can replicate any of the issues. If not, then we'll just ignore it and pretend it never happened. So I'll be scanning, driving, maybe we'll do some fun stuff, but not really sure, and I'll update you guys when I know more. Alright guys, so we're back on this thing now, and after I got home from driving it, I drained all the transmission fluid out. It did start to do some weird stuff, so I drained all the transmission fluid out just to see how much was sitting in the pan, and I got about 6.5 quarts out of it sitting in the pan. So that's pretty close to where it needs to be, so I don't feel like it's really a fluid level issue. So I'm starting to think now that there's either an issue with the transmission or an issue with the converter. So what I want to do to verify it is, and I thought about this for a while, I want to go back to just using a stock torque converter temporarily. So I'm going to pull the converter out of the truck. I have a stock one sitting up on the shelf, and I'm going to put that thing in and just verify, see what it does. Take it for a drive, do the same exact thing, and see if I have the same issues. Because I think that the converter clutch is just not able to hold the lockup position, because maybe I'll throw some scans in here too. But as I was driving, I drove it for about an hour on lockup in the highway, and I was kind of playing with some stuff. So I would have it locked up and I'm scanning converter slip. So I'm looking at 0 RPM, basically 0 to 1 RPM slip. But if I would add quickly, I would add like 1 or 2%, maybe not 1%, but let's say like 2 to 5% throttle position, it would immediately start to slip to about 200, 300 RPM slip, sometimes more. So if I would back off the throttle, or I was going like flat surface or down a hill, and I would back off the throttle a little bit, it would lock back up, I guess, and go back to 0 RPM slip. But I'm also logging the yes, no, if the converter's supposed to be in lockup or not, and I was logging pulse width, duty cycle on the converter, so I could see when it's supposed to be locking up and when it's unlocked, what is happening. So basically it's locked, says it's supposed to be locked, it's commanding it to be locked, and it's still slipping. So like I said, especially if I'm adding throttle or going up a hill, then it would start to slip. If flat surface, it would go back to completely locked again. So I did pull the fluid, like I said, drain the fluid, and the fluid does look brown, starting to get a little bit burnt. So that's my thought, is that it's just the converter slipping. But is it slipping because the clutch isn't holding, or is it slipping because it's not getting enough fluid pressure for whatever reason? There's a leak in a gasket or something like that. So a quick way to verify that, I'm going to throw the old converter back in, and we'll do the same thing. Go drive it if there's no other issues. My plan is to take it to the track, and maybe for like a couple days, and do some passes with the stock converter. So I had talked about doing this last year, but I didn't actually do it because I got this new converter and I didn't want to pull it out again to do the comparison between the two, because I put the converter in before I went to the track. I think that's what happened. So this would be a good opportunity now to, at the beginning of the season, have a stock converter in it and then test the differences. So do a couple passes or go for a couple days, basically try to collect enough data or get enough data points to make it realistic, and I can average them together, do whatever, get a realistic sampling of what I can do with this truck with the same setup with a stock converter, and then switch the converter, keep everything else the same, and then see what the improvement is. So I would really like to do that, one for my own personal knowledge, and I can share it, and it might be kind of cool to see what's possible. So I know the stock converter is going to launch like junk, but it'll be interesting to see the improvement. So that's the plan. I'm going to pull the stock converter out, run it for like a couple months, verify that there's no other issues. If there is an issue with the trans, then I can fix it, and then get a new converter. Because if it is the transmission that's causing the converter to lose pressure and lose lockup, then I would like to do that before I put a $1,300 converter in it and fry that thing or mess that thing up too, because there's not enough pressure and the transmission was causing the problem. So holy moly, I did that in one breath, I think. So let's move on. So today, what did we do today, Lincoln?
I don't remember.
What did we go get today?
A can crusher.
We got a can crusher. So my son has been bugging me for like a week about this can crusher. He really wanted a can crusher, because what he's been doing is using this dead blow and smashing cans. So he wants a can crusher, or he's using my hydraulic press and he's crushing cans. So we got this thing, we got him on it to the wall, but I also got myself a new toy, the Daddy right here. So this thing, I've been wanting this thing for a very long time, at least since last year, because every time I'd go to the track, I would be using a wrench and a breaker bar to change my tires at the track. So that's the main reason to get this thing, but I can use it for a bunch of other stuff. And I got the battery fully charged, so let's do some things. So we do have this aluminum 5.3. You guys are familiar with that. So I'm gonna try to zip this bolt off. Oh yeah, there you go. See, that's a lot easier than using my entire body weight to crack that bolt loose. All right, guys, so we're gonna do some stuff, and I'm gonna show you the new tool. Some of you guys have probably seen this. You know exactly what it is. So this is a balancer puller set. I have been using a monstrosity of a 3-jaw puller to pull my stuff out. So this is the one I've been using. This thing is way too big. So I bought one that I was like, hey, I think it's gonna work. And it's way too big. And I'm not gonna get rid of it because it's too big to pull a balancer, because I can probably use it someday, some year, sometime, somewhen to pull something else. So that's just kind of how I am. If I buy stuff, tools specifically, if I buy a tool, I feel like there's something I can use it for someday, so I'm not going to return it. So I was going to buy the smaller 3-jaw puller version of this one, and then I saw Matt talking about this guy right here. So I was like, sure, I'll just try that. It was like 43 bucks. I'll post a link in the description, and unless I forget, you guys can tell me. But I'm gonna try this thing. We got the balancer bolt loose. You guys saw that before. So we're having like a new tool day. This is gonna be like a wonderful day. We're just gonna try a bunch of new tools and have a good time. All right, so we're gonna use this tool here. It says OEM tools on it, so you know it's just as good as factory. So we're gonna stuff this thing on, and we're gonna pull this little guy out first. We're gonna try to pull this balancer off. So we're gonna do some wonderful things. We're gonna put this thing on here just like this. I'm gonna just guess on the size of the rod that I need to use. This is the shortest rod in the bin. I'm not exactly sure which size I need to use. It's the first time I ever used it, so you guys are seeing this in real time. And it's probably going to be too short. Sure enough. Holy camole. This is reality, guys. This is reality, gentlemen. Gentle ladies. So let's use one of the... I'll go to the... Let's try the longest rod. Let's see where that gets us. All right. So we're on the longest rod now. Ooh, wow. All right, there now we got a little bit of action going on here. So the longest rod in the kit, and then I got a 19 mil. Oh yeah, look at that. It's already coming off. I can feel it. Yeah, this thing is easily the best. This is easily the nicest one I've ever used. I've been using those 3 jaws, and this thing for $43 is worth it, worth every penny. So longest rod, and now we'll just put it back in the box and toss it in the closet. All right, so let's get this cam out. So I'm gonna take the timing cover off. I did notice that this sensor is actually broken, so that kind of sucks, but I'm gonna get a new one. It didn't have a crank sensor anyways, so this one, the mounting tab is broken and this thing spins freely, so the sensor actually looks like it's broken. Not really sure what that's about, and there is some odd scuffing interestingness on the front timing cover. So let's zip this thing off. Wow, that one I don't even think was tight. Oh, which makes sense because that was the oil pan bolt, which I didn't tighten that much. So let's see what we got here. Trying to break the cover separate from the gasket. Maybe we can save the gasket because they don't stick too much. Still stuck down here. There we go. Cover looks okay. It's not completely dirty, but looks all right. Gasket looks okay. I'm gonna try to break this gasket away cleanly. If we have to get new gaskets, that's not a big deal. Yep, I think I'm gonna get a new gasket. This one's separated. Usually I don't like to see the separation from the metal, so I might throw a new one on. That one's low enough. You could probably just RTV it, but might get a new one. So let's see. This thing is got some nice sludgy buildup on it. Alright, so that looks okay. So let's see if we can snap this cam gear off. it's oozing. It's oozing. All right. So now I'm going to get some Torx, and then we'll pull this thing out. Not exactly sure which size Torx it's going to be, but we'll do our best. We'll do our best to guess here. The one that fits, how about that? We'll use the one that fits. Okay, and yep, that is my bad Craftsman, guys. That one, like the gears inside of it are totally trashed, broken. Believe it or not. I've had a couple Craftsman wrenches that I've destroyed from using like breaker bars on them and stuff, like a, you know, like a 3/8 drive, just using big breaker bars on them. So I'm gonna look at the gasket. This gasket is not so bad. It's not sticking up though. It's completely flat. So what I did last time, I replaced this just because it wasn't sticking up at all from the plate, from all the heat cycling, and eventually it just kind of kills the mood. So we're gonna try to pull this cam out. Maybe we'll pull the cam out. Maybe we'll pull the cam out. Oh, that moved farther than I thought. All right, so I'm gonna try to get this thing out, and what I'm hoping for here is that it's gonna come out, and eventually I'll be able to get it, and it's not gonna be stuck on a cam bearing, because that would mean if it's stuck on a cam bearing, that would mean that it did actually have a little oil pressure at one point. This would be the same as one of my other, the engine that's in my Ranger right now. It was stuck on a cam bearing. Cam bearing was seized to the camshaft. So I'm gonna get a flashlight, clean my hands off, get some gloves on, and then we'll look and see if we can see if the bearing is actually seized to the shaft. All right. Well, here's I I'm incapable. All day. For some reason, it should not be this hard to get out here. This isn't rocket science, people. This is not rocket science. So the other one was like stuck until I yanked on it. And that came out. It was really weird. going on here? This is the weirdest thing. This thing is like not want to come out. No bearing stuck to it, but it does not want to go through the bearings. Does not want to come out. I don't know if it's like just shit built up on the outside of the cam journals. This thing just like does not want to come out. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it must have just been, seriously, must have just been shit stuck on the outside of the journals. Oh, but here we got a chunk of metal coming out. Look at this. Chunk of metal coming out. Chunk of metal coming out of it. We got a chunk of the camshaft. I thought I saw some little extra bits of flavor coming out of there. So boys and girls, we may have some problems. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about our feelings right now. So this journal seems okay. This thing might have had a dead lift or something. I mean, there's chunks. There's chunks of metal, guys, on the camshaft. There's a bunch of metal. See, guys? I don't know if you can see that. Oh, yeah. Chunks. We got some chunks. This, look at this spot right here on the cam. Cam is junk. Junksky potato. Yep. So we got some issues, guys. Look at that one on the back side of that. See that? Junksky. We got metal. Metal everywhere, guys. So I'll look at this thing a little bit more, but we may have an adventure. So now I think I might actually pull the rest of the rod caps off and actually see what in the fudge is going on. See if we have actually like lost oil pressure and there's a bad cam bearing. Guys, I'm gonna look at the cam bearings. Holy shit. Just because of how rough that was coming out. Like, I'm not worried about the discoloration and the weird shit, but I would be worried a little bit about the chunks and the slivers of metal coming out and the damage on the camshaft. So, it could have been a bad lifter. I mean, it could have just been one side. One section of it that shredded a lifter. A roller, maybe. But now I'm a little interested. This might need to be torn down a little bit further than I thought, or at least cleaned out. What do you guys think? I mean, I don't really like seeing big fucking 1.5 inch long chunks of metal shavings and shit going on inside there. That seems a little goofy. But, I mean, nothing looks weird, but maybe we'll just go ahead and make it pretty. Do we make it pretty, guys? Take it out, hot tank it. Have you guys had success with 1.5 inch long metal shavings coming out with your camshaft and a big chunk missing and had good luck with it? Let me know. Leave it in the comments. And I'll be your friend. Yeah. Honestly, the stuff doesn't really look too bad though. Yeah, there's one bearing here. Yeah, I know the Golden Rule guys don't look at the cam bearings, but there's big fucking chunks of metal coming out, and the camshaft is basically stuck inside of it. All right, guys, so did a little bit more digging, and it's not really much more than I said before, but I wanted to give you guys a better look at what's exactly going on with this cam. Let me get behind the camera so I know I can actually show you guys the right stuff. So this cam has this big chunk missing out of it. This is like the worst spot. Other than that, everything looks fine on it, but this lobe is completely messed up. So I would think that there was a lifter failure. Like one of the rollers was probably ground completely flat, so there's probably a bunch of metal inside this block. So I think I'm gonna go through, pull the rest of the caps off, pull the pistons out, and I'm probably gonna have it cleaned. Honestly, I might just do it because last time on the block inside the truck, I did the cam bearings, hot tank, like with the installation, it was $70. So I took it in just like this with the bearings in it, and it was $70 with the bearings, installation, and they'll clean the whole block. So I might do that. I'm gonna poke around a little bit inside here and see how bad it is, pull the rest of the pistons out. I want to look at the rest of the bearings now to see, just in case. It looks like all the cam journals, bearing journals, are good. So I don't think there was any loss in oil pressure. So all of the rod bearings should be fine, but I don't like all of the chunks of metal that were inside there and how hard this cam was to get out. It took me 20 minutes to get the cam out, and what I ended up having to do was basically having to I had to shove it back in to where the journals were actually in the bearings, and then use a wrench and then turn it and kind of like go back and forth and crank it, turn it, and scratch all the shit off. And that's odd to me. I've never had to do that before. So something is odd, and I know there was like big chunks of metal that I show you guys in the video as I was pulling this thing out. So some of the chunks were like 1 inch long. So if there's big chunks of metal like that floating around anywhere in the galleys, oil galleys, or anywhere else in the block for that matter, I really just want to clean the stuff out, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. Was that a good one?
Maybe. That's kind of a funny one. So you want to throw one more in there?
Let's try that.
One more. Throw one more in there.